Hi, I'm Lizzie, the founder of Liberty Mind, and today I'd like to talk about flexible working. Now, when I get talking about flexible working, a lot of people seem to think that there's only one strategy and only one flexible model out there, which is completely untrue. There are, in fact, a lot of ways you can work flexibly. But at the moment there are 6 very popular types, and I thought I'd share a video on exactly how these work and how you can try and test them in your organisation to find a flexible working approach that actually works for your people and your company. So here are the 6 most popular flexible working practices and how you can test and trial them within your organisation. I hope you find this useful. Let's do it. Number 1 is the 6-hour workday. It pretty much says what it does on the tin, that the day is 6 hours, and there are a lot of companies trialling this. In fact, I'm going to give a little shout out to Curveball Media, who I have a really good relationship with, and they've been doing this 6-hour workday for quite a few years now. So I'll link to a blog post that they've done a case study on, because they've really shown exactly how they can do it. They are a media agency, so it's very important to understand that with any of these strategies, you really have to think about what type of organisation you run and how your employees work. So there's a few considerations that really need to be thought about before you adopt any of these models. 6-hour workday obviously is just 6 hours, so rather than working 8 hours, your team works 6 hours but get paid the same. So you get to decide kind of where those 6 hours work, and if it's, for example, quite a rigid time frame, or whether people can actually use those 6 hours anywhere in the day. So that's really up to you, but that is the 6-hour workday. Number 2 is a compressed week. So basically, employees have the ability to use their hours as they like. They have the regular 8 hours a day, but basically what they can do with all of these 35 to 40 hours is decide where to allocate them. So for example, they could do a 10-hour day and then have a shorter day later on at the end of the week. So this is becoming quite a popular one with a lot of organisations that are just trying to dip their toe into flexible working. Personally, I don't feel like this really has any benefits to employees, because there's a massive sort of pressure on committing to that time, and also there's a higher risk of burnout, because for example, some employees could try and work an excessive amount of hours in one day and put themselves at risk of stress, burnout, ill health. So although compressed week is a great one to dip your toe into, it's not one that I would highly recommend. Number 3 is ROWE, and that stands for Results Only Working Environment. So ROWE is an American concept that was established quite a few years ago in the early 2000s, and it's slowly trickling to a lot of organisations. But essentially this is complete flexibility. So this is what I'd probably call the pinnacle of flexible working, whereby there are no set hours, and actually it's all about the projects and deadlines. So you have to sit with the employee and work out what projects and what deadlines they need to work to. And they can then decide when and how they work. It's completely up to them, it's complete freedom. And this works very well for creative companies and companies that really need the best creative output from their employees. So it is one that I would definitely only recommend to industries such as the creative sector, and very project-based organisations. It probably definitely wouldn't work in a customer service-based organisation or one that has a very rigid way of working. So this is definitely a more fluid approach to flexible working, but one that is really gaining momentum. So it's definitely one to look into and look at how, if you just give a project to an employee and let them own it, how much you can actually get out of them. Number 4 is just remote working. So remote working is becoming incredibly popular, especially within industries where you don't actually need to be within an office. There are so many job roles now where all you need is an internet connection and then you can get going. So essentially remote working is a brilliant possibility for a lot of people that perhaps have family commitments, you know, It takes away that ridiculous commuting time and all of the pressures of that kind of thing, you know, especially if people have got children or they've got other responsibilities where perhaps they need to take the child to work, but to school, but that then means that they're going to be an hour late because of the commute and the drop off. Whereas actually, if they dropped their child off at school and then got home and started work, there wouldn't be that hour lateness. So remote working is an incredible opportunity for a lot of people to manage their responsibilities. So it's definitely one to consider, and it is so easy to manage. If you've got the right communication in place and the right tools and project management systems, remote working should not be a problem. Number 5 is 4-day week. So the 4-day week is exactly as it says on the tin. Again, it is 4 days rather than 5 days, but employees still get paid exactly the same salary. Now this has a lot of benefits to people because a longer weekend has been shown to significantly improve employee well-being. You know, we get a little bit more time to have a hobby, to have a life at the weekend, and it just really helps us to feel less stressed and less burnt out by the heavy intensity of a 5-day week. Again, it's really important that you look at how you can adapt this strategy to your company and consider where the downfalls might be. So 4-day week is exactly that. The hours remain exactly the same. It's still 8 hours a day, but it's just 4 days a week instead of the 5 hours. So it really is that simple. There's nothing complicated about this one. It's just literally a decision to decide, okay, if you take the Friday, for example, and remove that as a working day, how will that affect the business operations? How will that affect the customers? So it's really about the other impacts of that missing day. But essentially, this is a great one, again, to trial and test and just to see what kind of shows through when you start implementing it. And last but not least, number 6 is unlimited holiday. This might sound strange as a flexible working approach, but essentially it is, because it's offering time to employees at complete flexibility and freedom. So I know a lot of companies that do this. Virgin were probably one of the biggest brands to come out and say that they had unlimited holiday, but I also know many other creative agencies, for example Era Digital and Milton Keynes, that have this. And it's incredible that actually, you know, they're given the freedom to explore opportunities around the world and have adventures without the pressure of trying to clock in a time and trying to squeeze everything in. You know, sometimes we need to take the occasional odd day here and there for a family wedding or a graduation, and when that eats into your holiday, it just feels a little bit like, ugh, what are we working towards? And when you're working so hard in a very fast-paced environment, having enough breaks and having enough mental breaks is really, really important to keep us going, keep us being creative and mentally well and healthy. So I have to take my hat off to companies that offer this, because I just think it's so important for employee well-being and really offers a true work perk that actually makes a difference. Now, the big thing is, of course, is how do you test and trial these strategies without fully implementing them? So I've written a guide called 6 Flexible Working Models to Improve Your Culture, and that not only goes into full detail about each of these 6 models I've discussed, but it also details exactly how you can test and trial them before fully embedding it into your culture. So it's a really practical guide that you can get your teeth into and hopefully help you to add flexible working and really help to improve the lives of your employees. So I put a link down below in the YouTube channel that this is on, and hopefully you can get some guidance and get excited about flexible working and really understand it. So I hope you found this useful and interesting, and I look forward to hearing if you've already implemented any flexible working approaches and how you found it. And don't forget to subscribe, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you. Bye.